Welcome back to AI Podcast, everyone. We're on part 6, wow, of our 10-part series.
10 parts.
I know, right?
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Diving into the world of AI voice synthesis. So remember how we started
Yeah.
by, exploring the history, the ethics, and all the amazing things these voices can do?
Yeah, we really did cover a lot of ground, like going all the way from those, early robotic sounding voices to the ones that are just so realistic and expressive that we have today. Like, it's
Yeah.
been quite a journey.
It really has. It really has. But today we're kind of shifting gears a little bit. We're going to go
Okay.
behind the scenes to understand the technology that makes these voices possible. It's kind of like, we're going to open up the hood of a high-performance race car.
I like that.
And we're going to see what makes it go vroom,
Yeah, I like that analogy.
And the race car that we're going to be looking at today is built by ElevenLabs,
Okay.
a company that's really making waves with its advanced AI voice synthesis tech.
They really are. They are known for creating some of the most natural sounding synthetic voices out there.
Right.
But the big question is, how did he do that?
Yeah, it's like, how do you go from lines of text on a page to a voice that sounds like a real person?
Right.
With all the emotion and nuance and everything.
It's really fascinating.
It is. So that's what we're here to unpack today, right?
Yeah.
To figure that out.
Yeah. And luckily, we have some great resources
Yeah.
that'll help us understand the magic behind it. We have a research paper on ElevenLabs technology, which
We're
is
perfect. Yeah. So where do we begin? Like, what are the fundamental building blocks of this technology? How does it work?
I would say at the heart of their system are neural networks.
Okay.
Those complex algorithms that are inspired by the human brain that learn from data. So in this case, they're learning how to synthesize speech.
So the neural networks are like the brains of the operation. But ElevenLabs isn't just using any neural network.
Yeah. No, they're using some pretty powerful models, including Tacotron and WaveNet,
Okay.
but with their own unique twist.
So let's break that down. What do Tacotron and WaveNet do? And what's so special about ElevenLabs' approach that makes them different?
All right, so imagine Tacotron as the language expert, right?
Okay.
It's going to analyze the text for pronunciation and grammar and even the feeling behind the words. It's like it's trying to understand the emotion.
So it's like reading between the lines?
Yeah, going beyond just the words themselves.
Yeah.
And then comes WaveNet, which acts like a sound engineer.
Okay.
It takes Tacotron's analysis, right? And it translates that into the actual sound. It generates that audio waveform that we hear as speech.
So it's like a two-step process. Tacotron analyzes it, and then WaveNet creates the sound.
Creates a sound based on that analysis.
But you mentioned that ElevenLabs adds their own kind of unique twist to this. What does that mean?
Well, they've actually made some modifications to these, basic models. They've refined them, added what's called attention mechanisms, and incorporated advanced modeling techniques to make it even more, sound more natural and expressive.
Attention mechanisms. That sounds interesting. What are those? How do they work, and how do they make the voices sound more realistic?
Think about it this way. When we read, we don't pay equal attention to every word. Right? We emphasize certain words or phrases to get our meaning across and to convey emotion, right? Well, attention mechanisms allow AI to do the same thing.
So it's like the AI is learning how to read with expression, just like a human.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty fascinating.
It is, and it's one of the reasons why ElevenLabs voices just sound so natural and engaging.
They're not just reading the words, they're delivering them.
Feeling.
With the appropriate emphasis and intonation.
So we've got the neural networks, the brains of the operation, but they need something to learn from, right?
Like they can't magically produce this speech without some kind of input. What about the data that these networks are trained on?
You're absolutely right. Data is crucial.
Yeah.
And ElevenLabs has invested a lot in building high-quality and diverse data sets to train their models.
I can see how that's important, Like, if you only ever heard someone speaking in a monotone, you wouldn't learn to speak with much expression yourself.
Right.
So the AI needs good examples to learn from.
Exactly. ElevenLabs uses carefully recorded voices with a wide range of accents and emotions. It's like a diverse choir, each voice contributing to the AI's understanding of how humans speak.
A choir of voices. I love that image.
Yeah.
So the AI learns from this massive data set, and then it's able to kind of create its own unique voice, kind of like, blend of all those different voices it's been exposed to.
You got it.
Okay.
And they also use something called data augmentation to enhance that training process even further. It's like putting the AI through a vocal gym, exposing it to like different speaking styles, you know?
Vocal gym, that's hilarious.
I know, right? Background noises, all these other variations.
So giving it a well-rounded education in all things voice.
That's a great way to put it.
So we've got the neural network, the data, but how does it actually work?
Yeah.
What's the process?
So it's a multi-step process.
Okay.
Almost like a recipe.
Right.
So we're going to break down each step after a quick recap of what we've discussed so far.
Sounds good, yeah, because we've covered a lot of ground, so a recap would be great.
We have. So to summarize, ElevenLabs utilizes these advanced neural networks like Tacotron and WaveNet, customized for, greater naturalness and expressiveness.
Right.
And these networks are trained on massive amounts of data of human voices, enabling them to learn all the nuances of human speech.
Right. We also talked about how they use data augmentation to expose their AI to different speaking styles and conditions, making it even more versatile.
That's right.
So we haven't really delved into that step-by-step synthesis process yet, but we've laid a solid foundation for understanding how ElevenLabs creates these voices.
Right. It's all about the foundation.
It is. It is.
And then we build from there.
That was a summary. Those who want to hear a further deep dive can stay on. Others can leave because you have already heard a gist.
Okay, so let's break down that synthesis process, step by step, like that recipe we were talking about.
Yes.
So first step is text analysis and phonetic transcription.
Okay.
This is where the AI, using its Tacotron skills, really digs into the text. It figures out the pronunciation of each word and analyzes the grammar to understand, the structure and the meaning of the sentence.
So the AI is doing like a close reading here, making sure it really gets all the nuances of what's being said.
Exactly.
Why is that so important?
Well, because it ensures that, the pronunciation is accurate and that the intonation and emphasis are all appropriate,
Right.
for the context. It's the difference between a robot reading a list of words versus a human, conveying a message.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you have a robot like
Totally.
apples, bananas.
Yeah.
And you have a human like, oh, I love apples and bananas,
Yeah, big difference, yeah.
So what happens after the text is analyzed?
I'm curious.
The next step is creating what's called a spectrogram.
What's that?
Which is a visual representation of the sound.
Okay.
It's like a musical score for the voice.
Interesting.
Where different frequencies are represented by colors and intensities.
Wow, so it's like the AI is composing a piece of music.
You got it.
Based on the text.
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay, very cool.
Because the spectrogram is capturing the rhythm, the pitch variations, and all the acoustic features that make speech sound natural and expressive.
So we've got the musical score, now we need the orchestra.
Exactly.
To play it, right?
Yeah.
What brings this spectrogram to life?
That's where the neural vocoder, our friend WaveNet, comes in. It takes that spectrogram and generates the actual audio waveform.
Okay.
That we hear as speech. It's like a digital orchestra playing those notes.
So we analyze the text, create the spectrogram, and then the vocoder brings it all together into sound.
You got it.
That's the foundation. But ElevenLabs has some special,
Yes.
secret ingredients.
Special sauce we were talking about earlier. They've gone beyond these basics and created some impressive features.
Like what?
One is dynamic intonation control.
Okay.
So their AI can actually adjust the tone and emphasis of the voice based on the meaning of the text, not just, reading it monotonously.
Yeah. So it's not just pronouncing the words correctly. It's like delivering them with the right feeling.
Right, with the right nuance. Exactly.
So can you give me an example of that?
Sure. So imagine you input the sentence, wow, that's incredible. ElevenLabs AI can analyze that sentence, recognize that exclamation point, and know to inject, excitement and energy into the voice. So it's not going to sound like, a robot.
Yeah, it's going to sound like...
It's sound genuinely enthusiastic.
Yeah, like a human would say it.
Exactly.
Cool. So what else sets ElevenLabs apart?
Well, their voice cloning technology is a real game changer. They've made it incredibly easy to create a synthetic voice that sounds just like a real person. Traditionally, this took hours and hours of recording.
Yeah.
But ElevenLabs can do it with just a few minutes of audio.
Oh, wow. So, theoretically, I could take a short recording of my voice and create a digital twin?
You could.
That sounds exactly like me.
You could. It opens up all these possibilities, both creative and practical.
Yeah, like what?
Imagine hearing, a historical figure speak in their own voice or having a loved one's voice preserved even after they're gone.
That's incredible, yeah. It makes you think about, how this technology could change the way we interact with history,
Right.
storytelling, with each other even.
Absolutely. Imagine audiobooks narrated by the authors themselves,
Wow.
even if they passed away.
Yeah.
Or video games with characters that sound just like real people.
It's mind-boggling, yeah. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, but with such powerful technology, of course, comes great responsibility.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Right.
I imagine there's concerns about misuse,
Of course.
like deep fakes or impersonating someone.
Right. You raise a really valid point. ElevenLabs is very aware of these ethical concerns, and they've implemented safeguards to try to prevent misuse.
Like what?
Well, for example, they have very strict user authentication processes,
Okay.
and they watermark their audio.
So not just anyone can create a cloned voice, and it's possible to tell if audio has been synthetically generated.
Right, exactly.
So those are some pretty important steps.
They are. They also have very clear guidelines for voice cloning, and they're really committed to transparency and responsible use of this technology because it's crucial that we use these powerful tools ethically and thoughtfully.
Absolutely. It sounds like they're approaching this with the right mindset.
I think so.
So we've covered the technology, the data, the special features, touched on some of the ethical considerations. Where do you see this technology going in the future?
I think the future is, well, incredibly exciting. This technology has the potential to transform
Yeah.
so many industries, everything from media and entertainment to education and healthcare. Imagine movies with unique AI voices for every character or educational content narrated in these really engaging ways, or even healthcare simulations using realistic synthetic voices.
Those are just a few examples. I bet there are tons we haven't even thought of yet.
Absolutely, and ElevenLabs is at the forefront of this revolution. What stands out to you as particularly interesting or impactful about all this?
I think the potential for accessibility is just huge, like giving a voice to those who have lost the ability to speak.
Wow.
Or even creating like personalized learning experiences for people with different learning styles.
That's a really powerful application.
It is.
And it highlights just how important it is to use this technology thoughtfully.
Yes.
And for the greater good, it's not just about, cool voices. It's about making a real difference in the world.
Absolutely. Well said.
And before we go too deep into the philosophy of it all, I have a final question for you. If you could create a custom AI voice, what would it sound like?
Oh, that's a good question.
What kind of personality would you give it?
Ooh, that's tough. I don't know. Maybe like a wise old storyteller.
Yeah.
A little bit of mischief in there.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. What about you?
Oh, gosh. I think I'd go for a voice that's warm, engaging, and a little bit quirky with a dry sense of humor.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's tough. Those are good questions.
They are.
Yeah. Food for thought. I think we've given our listeners plenty to ponder.
We have. And we'll be back next Monday with another deep dive into the world of AI voice synthesis. Until then, keep those creative voices flowing.